This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And good morning. Happy Saturday to everyone. Today is August the 17th, 2024, and this is the Dr. Sem Yankees Show. We come to you every single Saturday here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network at 7 a.m. And of course, this show is also then put on the wonderful Yankees site that I run, Start Spreading the News. Check out Start Spreading the News if you haven't already. We have been doing it every day at Start Spreading the News, writing about the Yankees since 2017. We put out original content every single day at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and 2 p.m. When there's a game, we also have a game thread. And then after the game, we put up the quick hit with, if nothing else, the score from the Yankees game, which is then recapped the next day, again at 6 a.m. And we do it all again. And we've been doing it every single day since 2017. I think we set the bar, the high bar, for excellence in Yankee writing and baseball writing among all the sites. And we do it for free. So many other sites put so much of their content behind paywalls. We don't. We give it all every day for free to our readers, to you. And we hope you tune in, read the articles, comment appropriately on the articles, and join the fun. A reminder that the Dr. Sem Yankees Show is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing, a small independent traditional publisher from New Mexico. Artemisia Publishing has published numerous of my wonderful books, including 365.2, the story of how I ran every single day for a year, a great motivational book. It's not really about running, it's about setting goals and reaching those goals. They also published my autobiography of Roy White, written by Roy White with me, an award-winning book, and also the award-winning The Least Among Them, also about the Yankees, and my award-winning novel, Scattering the Ashes. They have books in a variety of genres. You should check them out at apbooks.net. So let's get the Yankees Start Spreading the News banner up there so you can find us online if you would like to read the wonderful content that, again, we produce each day. And as I begin each show, I remind and implore everyone to make today a great day. How do you make each day great? It really is simple. You take the time to notice and appreciate the good that is all around you. Even in our darkest days, there is good, there is beauty around us. But if you're having one of those bad days and you can't find the good, there is a simple, it's not always easy, but a simple solution to that. Make good. In your darkest moments, find a way to build up someone else or to do something nice for a charity, a community, your community, a neighbor, or a family member, or whomever. If you go do something nice, then you're creating good. Then you can't help but notice the good that is around you. And that will help you make your day a great day. And it will also help make someone else's day also great. So I'm actually recording this on Thursday. I have a busy weekend ahead of me. As you know, I'm a new grandpa. My great, wonderful grandchildren are just about 3 months old now. Last Sunday, they attended their very first professional baseball game. My son and daughter-in-law live out in Hershey. I'm in New Jersey. And just about in between our two homes is the town of Allentown, PA, where the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs play. And my son said, "Hey, do you think you can get out to Lehigh Valley, Allentown by 1:30 on Sunday? If you can, we should go to an Iron Pigs game." And so we did. Here's my photograph of the stadium, the ballpark in Lehigh Valley. It is gorgeous. You can see also it was a gorgeous day. Now, obviously, the babies didn't know what baseball was. I asked them after the game if they would please explain when is a proper time to bunt. Neither one of them had an answer. And neither one could explain, at least to my satisfaction, the infield fly rule. So I know they're only about 3 months old, but a little disappointing. No, the great thing about the game was just being there with them. So I have to be honest. My attention to the actual play on the field was not really all that much. I was distracted by my wonderful little grandchildren, but we had a great time. They enjoyed being outside. They enjoyed all the smiles from all the fans who looked at them and told us how adorable they are. I'm telling you, one of the best jobs I've ever had in this whole world, and I've had a lot of great experiences in my life, is being grandpa. Anyway, when we got to the game, it turns out we're entering. We were a little late. I had a baseball game of my own earlier that day, and so we got there as quickly as we could. And we're entering the stadium, and I hear them say, "Now batting, Jahmai Jones." I'm like, "Jahmai Jones? He was just a Yankee." And it turned out they were playing the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Rail Riders. So I got to see the Yankees AAA team. I saw Caleb Durbin. I saw Oswald Peraza. I saw Jason Dominguez. It was great. And it was a good game. The Yankees won, the Rail Riders. Dominguez didn't do anything great. And again, I didn't pay super close attention to all of the play on the field. But it seemed like the Yankees played a really good, crisp game. And, you know, there was enough good baseball there and enough quality play to leave one excited about what could be happening. Not just this year, but in the future in the Bronx. Now, I'm not like so many people who really closely follow the minor leagues. I'm a lot more cynical. I wish I wasn't, but I'm a lot more cynical about minor leaguers and minor league stats. You know, my whole life as a Yankee fan since 1977, I have heard about the next great player who's coming. And yes, some of them turned out to be really good. Dave Righetti turned out to be really good. Don Mattingly turned out to be really good. Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, Aaron Judge, Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettitte. They all turned out pretty well. And I'm sure there were numerous others. Brett Gardner in my lifetime turned out to be a pretty good player. So, yeah, there's plenty. Roberto Kelly wasn't a Yankee for all that long, but he was pretty good. Jose Rijo came up in the Yankee system. Jay Buhner, on and on. We could name guys who came up through the system. But I bet you it's more like a 5-1 or an 8-1 or maybe a 50-1 ratio of the Yankees who have come up through the system who have actually become good, right? You know, there was Jose Tabata and my goodness, there's so many. I don't want to just get into naming names, but this guy, Dan Pasqua, he is going to be amazing. You want to talk about, they ought to just rewrite the record books at this point. Put Dan Pasqua's name at the top. A New Jersey kid, not unlike Anthony Volpe. Pasqua went to William Patterson College and starred there. And boy, I remember 1986, 1987 being so excited about Dan Pasqua. And he didn't have a great nor a long career. So many minor leaguers are hyped and they just don't make it. We could, again, go down a list for the next 47 shows of all the overly hyped young players. who didn't make it. But there still is excitement about the overly hyped young players. And it's fun to go to a minor league game a lot more relaxed, much easier access, much different fans too. It's more of a family atmosphere. I don't think that's hard to argue. I think it's a blatant fact that you go to a minor league game and it's just a happier, more fan-friendly atmosphere than a big league park. No matter how nice the big league park is big leagues. You don't really hear profanity at minor league games and people yelling at players, telling them they stink and saying even harsher things than that. So it was great. I highly recommend it if you can get to Lehigh Valley, to Allentown, to go to Coca-Cola Park and see the Iron Pigs. They're the Philadelphia Phillies AAA team, and they put together a good show. Now, talking about a minor leaguer who has become a star, who came up through the Yankees system, I think we have to start talking about Aaron Judge and his ascendancy into Yankee greatness, into that upper stratosphere of Yankee greatness. And we've talked about this a lot over the years, and I've written and had input on this topic numerous times on Start Spreading the News about the Yankees Mount Rushmore. I'm of the belief that the four players who belong on the Yankee Mount Rushmore, no pitchers would make it, in my opinion, not even Mariano or Whitey Ford. The four greatest Yankees are the four most famous Yankees: Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, and Mickey Mantle. And for some, their greatness transcends statistics. Joe DiMaggio doesn't have the great lifetime stats. He didn't have a super long career. Part of his career was interrupted by World War II. He played as a right-handed hitter in a Yankee Stadium that was much different than Yankee Stadium today. Joe DiMaggio's Death Valley was 400 some odd 60 feet or so to left center field. He lost a lot of home runs out there. He was still great. He's still one of the great players of all time, one of the inner circle Hall of Famers. But he doesn't necessarily have the lifetime statistics. So sometimes when you do lifetime statistical analyses, a guy like Joe DiMaggio falls short. And with the stats I'm going to share today, he's going to fall short. I don't think Aaron Judge is in that inner circle yet. There's that next Mount Rushmore, the next four. And I think for that group, you have Mariano Rivera, you have Derek Jeter, you have Yogi Berra, and you probably put Whitey Ford there. And when you get to that next group, four great players, four superstars, four Hall of Famers, four of the greatest players at their positions, when you look at it in various ways. Whitey Ford, winning percentage. Mariano's probably the greatest closer. Derek Jeter with 3,000 hits and all his World Series. Yogi Berra with all his MVPs in World Series. I mean, these players are on the short list of the greatest players at their respective positions in the history of baseball. The second Yankee Mount Rushmore of those four guys is probably better than the single Mount Rushmore for almost any other team. It would be awful hard to break into that Mount Rushmore. But I think Aaron Judge is getting there. And I think he's inching his way toward the first Mount Rushmore. Aaron Judge, as of Thursday, is having a remarkable season. You know, I don't like to do a lot by reading stats at you, but 43 home runs, leads Major League Baseball, 110 ribbies. It's August. leads Major League Baseball. 102 walks leads baseball. A 467 on base percentage. A 707 slugging percentage. A 1.174 OPS. A 224 OPS plus. 301 total bases. He's been walked intentionally 14 times, which leads the league. He's also scored 95 runs. He's batting .333. He has 28 doubles, which ties a career high already. I mean, he is having a remarkable and amazing season. And it's really his third great season. Last year, his batting average didn't look as good at 267. His homers look a little more pedestrian because he had 37. His RBIs look more pedestrian at 75, but he played in only 106 games. He still had a 175 OPS plus. His OPS was still over 1,000 at 1.019. And that's following the year when he hit 62 home runs, batted .311, and had a 210 OPS plus. I mean, he is putting together year after year after year of greatness. And what he's doing right now, and we're just going to look at two simple stats, just to drive home the point, is making it look like he just might someday. I would think he needs to do this a few more years. And I also think that if you're a Yankee, the team that's steeped in the tradition of winning World Series, if you're a Yankee, in order to get into that inner circle, that first Mount Rushmore, you need to have won a couple of World Series. All of the guys there, Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle, have won plenty of World Series. But if we look at the OPS plus number of 200, now a typical major leaguer, an average major leaguer's OPS plus would be 100. So he's a 200 would be 100 points above average. A 200 OPS plus is simply out of this world amazing. And another way to look at an amazing season is to say having a player who has a 10 or higher WAR, 10 or more wins above replacement. And so let's compare Aaron Judge. He's not there yet, but let's compare Aaron Judge and his career, and he's got a long way to go yet, with Mantle, Gehrig, DiMaggio, and Ruth. Now we'll see that Babe Ruth's in another stratosphere. Babe Ruth is so far removed from everybody else with these numbers, it's silly. But when you look at Mantle, Gehrig, and DiMaggio, and just those two simple stats of an OPS plus of 200 and 10 WAR or higher, all of a sudden Aaron Judge is entering that kind of elite territory. Judge should have his second OPS plus season of 200 or higher. Mickey Mantle in his career had 3. Judge would have had his third last year had he not gotten injured and missed all that time. I think that's pretty well assumed. He was doing great at the time of his injury. But he's only one behind. So if Judge can continue this for the remainder of this year, and then next year, or even the year after, to have another 200 plus OPS plus season, he's now entered the realm of Mickey Mantle. Now, Lou Gehrig had 4 of them. I think that's a little bit harder. You'd have to have 2 more remarkable seasons after this. That gives you a sense of how great Gehrig was. And I started this by saying Joe DiMaggio's overall numbers aren't as overwhelming. And they're not here. Joe DiMaggio never had a season with an OPS plus of 200 or better. You know, if you're going to defeat DiMaggio and take him off that Yankee Mount Rushmore, again, you have to do things that almost transcend the game. DiMaggio had the 56-game hitting streak. DiMaggio is one of the legends in the history of the sport. It'd be tough to knock him off. But I think Aaron Judge, if he puts together a few more years, might be that elite. That's the trajectory he's on right now. And I said Babe Ruth is in a different stratosphere. He had 11 such seasons. So if we add up the Judge's 2 with Mantle's 3 and Gehrig's 4, that's 9. DiMaggio had none. Ruth had 11. I mean, Babe Ruth is in a different stratosphere. And if we look at 10 WAR seasons, again, DiMaggio never had a 10 WAR season. This should be Judge's second. Last year would have been his second. Again, I think he would have had it if he didn't get hurt, didn't run into that outfield wall. So with 2, that's 2 more than DiMaggio. 2 10 WAR seasons actually ties Lou Gehrig. And Mickey Mantle had 3. Holy cow. Again, you're talking about lining up with some of the greatest players of all time, inarguably the 4 greatest Yankees of all time. Now, again, Babe Ruth, different universe, different stratosphere. He's somewhere beyond everybody. If you take Judge's 2 and Mantle's 3 and Gehrig's 2, that equals 7. Remember, DiMaggio had none. Babe Ruth had 9. I mean, when you look at Babe Ruth's career, you can't help but just be amazed and overwhelmed. And it's crazy. It is crazy. You know, what else is crazy, to be a little less positive, is Brian Cashman and his deals at the trade deadline. I mean, year after year, he makes deals, and year after year, they don't seem to work out. Some of them are just terrible deals. You all know how I felt about Jordan Montgomery for Harrison Bader, a deal that I still say makes no sense in any way, shape, or form. You don't trade a quality. He wasn't great, but a quality left-handed starting pitcher for a center fielder who's a mediocre at best hitter, who is always, as Harrison Bader was, injured, who at the time of the trade was injured with an injury, and they didn't know how long he'd be out. Turns out he was out for more than a month after the trade deadline. It was like 6 weeks later, as I recall. You trade a quality left-handed starting pitcher, something that's very rare in baseball, for an injured guy who is injured and isn't all that great anyway? Made no sense. But he got Andrew Benintendi a few years ago. Then Benintendi got hurt. Got Frankie Montas. As I understand it, they didn't really check the medicals. He got hurt. Now they get Jazz Chisholm, and Jazz Chisholm gets hurt. Now, I don't blame Brian Cashman or Aaron Boone or the coaches or the front office in any way, shape, or form for the Jazz Chisholm injury. He dove into home plate and wrecked his elbow. I mean, that's going to happen. People are going to get hurt playing baseball games. That wasn't a case of not checking the medicals or having a misdiagnosed previous injury that came back to hurt the Yankees. It was just a case in this regard of bad luck. And that puts the Yankees in a bad situation. On Start Spreading the News, we've had a number of articles the last few days about Gleyber Torres, either in a whole article or parts of articles, where people are saying it's time to bench him and maybe let Caleb Durbin come up from the minor leagues, or have Oswald Peraza, who is up from the minor leagues, playing second base. You know, Gleyber's been benched twice this year. He's had a bad year. This was supposed to be a big year for him. He is going to be a free agent, and he really has taken a huge step backwards. He's cost himself, I'm sure, tens of millions of dollars. A big year this year would have been unbelievable for Gleyber Torres. But if we look at his numbers real quickly on the season, Gleyber Torres has played in 115 games. He has 10 homers, only 45 ribbies. He's hitting just .236. And we go back to that OPS plus number. 100 is an average major leaguer. He's only at 85. He's 15 points below an average major leaguer as a hitter. And that's his strength. He also leads the American League, I think all of baseball, in errors at second base. His calling card is not defense. And his batting has been terrible. And so I'm hearing a lot of rumbling about it's time for Gleyber to be benched or even to be released. I don't think the Yankees will do that. I can't possibly see him returning to the Yankees next year. But I do understand the sentiment about letting the young kids, whether it be Durbin who gets called up or Peraza, play second base for at least the next few weeks to see what they can do at the major leagues. Do it now so that if they both fail, well, then the fail-safe would be you go back to Gleyber, who would be a bench player for a couple of weeks. He certainly doesn't deserve to play every day with this performance and the fact that he's been benched twice this season alone for not hustling. It's a shame when a would-be superstar like Gleyber Torres turns out to be disappointing. Not quite as great as he could have been. But the Yankees have to play for the pennant this year, but they also have to be looking to next year. And if Gleyber's not the guy playing second base, and if Jazz Chisholm has to have Tommy John surgery and he's out, well, you need a second baseman. I'd rather look at Caleb Durbin and Oswald Peraza right now. Play them every day, one of them, every day for a month, for 4 weeks, even 3 weeks. Let's see what they can do at the big league level. A month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it doesn't prove anything. It's a super small sample size. But at least it would give us a look. It would give them a look. And the Yankees could at least make a better decision for next year based upon how either or both of those guys do, depending on if you want one of them also to play third base the rest of the way. I think it's time to sit Gleyber down. I wouldn't release him. He's too good to be released. He'll go somewhere on a free agent contract. He'll probably get a 1 or 2 year prove it type of deal where he'll have to have some big numbers in order to get the big money that he could have had if he had had a big year this year. All right, that brings us to the bottom of the hour already, the bottom of the half hour or whatever already. This goes much too quickly. In Tim Cable's article yesterday about Aaron Judge, he wrote something along the lines, this isn't a direct quote, but it's time to just appreciate how great Aaron Judge is right now. I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. I say the same is also true for Juan Soto. We are watching two of baseball's great players, and we need to appreciate how great they are and enjoy every at-bat that they have. Until Monday night with the Start Spreading the News show at 9 p.m., which will also be pre-recorded, this is Paul Semendinger wrapping up the Dr. Sem Yankees show. Have yourselves a wonderful